everybody, and welcome back to another video. Darkstalker has done a lot of terrible things during his years on Pyria, but there's one part of it all that I rarely hear discussed, despite its magnitude and severity, and that's the Icewing Plague. I'm going to be talking all about this absolutely despicable act, as well as what could have happened if 𝙈𝙤𝙁𝙁𝙁 and Turtle didn't interfere. But before we begin, a huge shout out to my patrons. Darth95, Thistle, Noobto, Pyronuke, Avril, Pancake, Escarada, Adequin, Alex Cleaver, Shadow Hunter, and Atlas Stargazer. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Links to their social medias are in the description down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Also, I wanted to remind you guys that I'm participating in Art Fight this year. I'm thrilled to be joining Team Fossils and can't wait to see all your amazing art pieces and characters. Plus, there's still time to enter my winglet creation contest, so continue working on your submissions before it's too late. I've already discussed some of Darkstalker's worst deeds a long while back, but today I wanted to focus on what is arguably one of his cruelest, which, as I mentioned in the intro, is the Icewing Plague. For those who don't remember, this was an enchantment Darkstalker casted on the night he was freed from a gate mountain. Getting revenge was already on his mind from the beginning, despite knowing how many thousands of years it had been since his own conflict with the tribe. Do you realize how many generations of Icewings were born during those 2,000 years? That's so many dragons, none of which are at fault for what happened during Darkstalker's days. He also had no way of knowing the tribe was even still feuding with the Nightwings. What if they had achieved peace while he had been asleep that whole time? Even though it was unlikely, Darkstalker still wasn't educated on everything going on. He just assumed an entire tribe of dragons was pure evil, and that they all deserved to suffer for the wrongdoings done to him by some in the distant past. So, instead of doing something positive with his second chance, Darkstalker casted a spell that would affect nearly every Icewing, and that was the Lethal Plague. This enchantment impacted every Icewing except Winter and hybrids. Everybody else was fair game, being cursed with a terrible sickness I can't even imagine having. Think about how many dragons were affected by this. We don't know how large the tribes are in Wings of Fire, but this could be anywhere from hundreds to thousands of Icewings, all suffering. Remember, these dragons had very little contact with the other kingdoms, as they were still surrounded by the Great Wall at this time. And since Winter wasn't impacted due to Darkstalker fulfilling his promise to Moon, nobody had any idea this was happening for a while. Darkstalker was killing dozens behind the backs of everybody, and he didn't even care. The plague didn't spread like a normal sickness either. You could even have no contact with anyone that was ill, when suddenly you'd get it too. There was zero way to avoid its devastating effects, and dragons were dying slowly and painfully. This plague caused Icewings to cough up blood almost non-stop, and would eventually kill them. It took away their strength, leaving them unconscious and in pain for their remaining waking moments. Glacier was the most famous Icewing to fall because of the plague, and the tribe lost their own queen. Darkstalker is lucky that a war for the Arctic throne wasn't caused because of this. It was only because of the queen's wisdom and the spirit of her daughters that nothing worse befell these dragons as a whole. Along with Queen Glacier, 19 other Icewings died. Think about all the families that watched their loved ones suffer as they too were becoming weak and bloody. It's just awful, and something I can never forgive Darkstalker for. Everyone would have died if not for the news of the plague being discovered, and 𝙈𝙤𝙁𝙁𝙁 thinking of a way to protect all the Icewings from the spell. Ultimately, it was through these Animus enchanted earrings that were handed out to the survivors that caused the rest of the Tundra dragons to live. They were filled with rage after this, and rightfully so, which ultimately led to the Nightwing and Icewing battle during Darkness of Dragons. It's terrible what happened to Darkstalker, especially when he was young. However, it's not the fault of the living tribe members over 2,000 years later. Think about the Icewings living on the outskirts of the kingdom that were just surviving day to day with their families. We learned so much about this tribe's culture in the guidebook and how close the villagers are. This was heartbreaking for all the innocent lives affected. So, while Darkstalker ended up doing a lot of bad during his time on Pyria, this act was definitely one of the most despicable. Darkstalker was totally okay with the prospect of giving babies and dragonets a lethal sickness just because of his past. Not even all these dragons came to fight him afterwards, as they just wanted to be at home with their loved ones. Thank goodness the 𝙈𝙤𝙬𝙁 got to the tribe when they did, but it's unfortunate how many Icewings still died before that could happen. Hopefully Peacemaker makes up for some of the things Darkstalker did during his life. And if the spirit of the 𝙈𝙤𝙁 ever does return somehow, even briefly, I hope he changes for the better. What do you guys think about all this? When reading, what shocked you the most about the Icewing Plague? Do you think we'll ever learn about the dragons who died during it? Let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.